Hey guys, coming in tonight for the Vampire Diaries Season 7, Episode 2, Never Let Me Go. And I was actually really looking forward to this episode. I mean, last week's episode really surprised me. I didn't think the premiere was going to be as good as it was, but I was really liking last week's premiere, and this episode was just as good. I thought this episode was just as strong. I thought this episode was even more intense than last week. Already it's very intense, especially the ending. I thought the ending to this episode was awesome, and I can't wait to see where that goes. But let's just get into this episode. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm really loving the direction this season is going. So we start off with this Texas newscast where Caroline seems to be the producer, and it's basically a flash forward, which I like seeing. If we keep getting these little glimpses of flash forwards, this could be really interesting, because Caroline gets a message from someone who tells her that her fiance is on the line and wants to know what her schedule is, and her fiance wants to go back to Mystic Falls. And when Caroline hears she says they can't go back there, she then catches herself, brushes her assistant off, and we are to believe that her fiance is Stefan. That's who her fiance is. And that definitely was very interesting, that we found. Well, we're thinking that her fiance is Stefan. That's who we're thinking at this point. But I really love seeing that. It kind of threw me off in the beginning. I'm like, what is this? But I really like that because we're getting to see those flash forwards of Caroline. We're getting to see how she is in the future, and she's much different than we've seen her here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. So in present day, two teens are investigating Mystic Falls as if it was an abandoned town, but they run into some trouble in the form of Nora and Mary Louise. Who Nora and Mary Louise are definitely going to be some trouble, and you can tell right away that they are very threatening. And I know some people aren't liking these new villains, but I'm really liking them. Guys, you just have to think of them as this is a soft reboot. That's what I'm totally thinking this is. This totally soft reboot territory, and I'm fine with that. I think it was time for the show to do it, and you can definitely tell that the show is, I think, a lot stronger with the soft reboot. So Matt arrives to save them and ends up failing, and both teens die, and obviously Matt's really upset about that. He wakes up the next day covered in blood with a bandage around his arm, and Matt goes through some shit in this episode. I mean, I haven't seen Matt have this crazy of a plot since, I'd say, Season 5 when he was possessed. That was the last time I really saw Matt really get involved with something huge. I mean, he had stuff last season. I can't really remember much of anything that memorable that he had last season, though, because there were so many plots last season, and now that they don't have as large as an ensemble cast, they can do a lot more with these characters, which I definitely like seeing. So then we see that Alaric is back teaching at Whitmore. Now, I thought this was interesting because I thought he was going to go to that coroner guy and talk to him about Joe, but no, that doesn't happen here. He's giving them a lecture about the reality of death and how, what happens with death and how you can't really avoid it. And he assures them that the most interesting thing that the students will find in Mystic Falls is a trespassing committee. And they're having trouble keeping college students out, and the heretics are killing wanderers off, because obviously they don't want college students to come to Whitmore because Mystic Falls just isn't a safe place right now for humans. Humans is probably the worst people to come to Mystic Falls because obviously the heretics are going to want blood constantly, and they're going to crave it, and they're going to try to get the blood from any human they see. So Bonnie asks if Alaric is okay, and he gives her the rundown, and then he asks her if she's ever heard of the Phoenix Stone, which of course we know that this is the Phoenix Stone that Lily wants. She wants it, and we do get some more of Lily's agenda in this episode, which, like I said, she definitely has a bigger agenda than we think, and you can definitely tell in this episode, by the end of this episode, that, yeah, she does have a much bigger one. So while Stefan is driving in a car and leaving a message for Caroline, of course, he doesn't know that Caroline was drugged by Enzo. He stopped dead in his trucks by Bo and Lily, and Stefan is surprised about the attack and learns that Malcolm was found with his heart removed. So not only was Malcolm killed, he had his heart removed, which is really interesting, and he says he didn't know, and Lily says she isn't there to pass blame, but they did what they had to do. So it was a much more brutal attack than Stefan had thought of. So, basically, you can tell that Lily's saying, look, we did do something about this, and I like how she casually says it. I mean, that's very threatening. The way she doesn't, make it sound threatening, but is threatening, I definitely like that. So, Enzo in this episode, I thought was really interesting, definitely, because Enzo is tying off a pissed-off Caroline up with vervain-soaked rope, and he seems to have a soft spot for her when she says it hurts really bad. In fact, he really seems to care about her. Like, when she's saying, oh, this hurts me, he genuinely seems to care for her, and it's understandable. I mean, they did have a thing once, and I think he still does have feelings for Caroline, and even though he's with Lily, the only reason he's with Lily is because he had to make that choice, and she forced him to, and I think the other reason he's allying with Lily is because he knows that if he doesn't, it's just not going to end well for him. So he figures, why not? And plus, it'll make him closer with Lily, and there's less of a chance of him dying, things like that. So he tries to loosen the knot, and Caroline attacks him before she could get any further. The heretics catch up with her, knock her out with magic, and Stefan confronts Damon about Malcolm, and he's not denying it. He doesn't deny that, yeah, his heart was removed. He wants to tell him that right off the bat, and you can tell that Damon is definitely, I'm thinking that Damon, is killing these people so much because he obviously wants to, he obviously is, being so harsh to these people, probably because, he's acting out because of Elena. And Stefan also says that Lily took Caroline for breaking the deal, and Damon's forced to go over to Lily's house and fix what he has broken, because obviously someone has to do it. Someone has to fix this. They can't keep this going, and that person had to be Damon. So Damon admits that he was the one who ripped Malcolm's heart out, but Lily isn't buying that he did it alone. She thinks that there's someone else that did it, and he tries to convince his mother to let Caroline go, but she doesn't, and he's unable to walk into his own house. The deed was transferred, and Lily tells Damon she has to go bury her son, and, she's just trying to make them feel terrible about what happened to Malcolm, which, yeah, it is pretty terrible. But again, they did it because of the attack. That's why they did it. She can't deny that they had it coming. And even though she's not denying that, I think she knows that they had it coming. And that really is what's going on there. So Alaric tells Bonnie that the Phoenix Stone has resuscitative powers, and Bonnie concentrates the stone to find out that if it has powers, but all she sees is death. All it means is death. So someone's probably going to die, and she says there's something wrong with the stone, something much more evil, and Bonnie warns him not to mess with that magic and that they have to destroy the Phoenix Stone, because obviously it's evil, and it's not going to be something good, so before anything bad happens, they might as well just destroy it, which I think is a smart thing to do. I think it was smart of Bonnie to say, look, let's just destroy it. So Stefan and Damon are trying to find a way into the house. However, when Damon tells his brother they no longer own the house, Stefan begins to worry because he's thinking maybe they could be locked out, maybe someone else is living there. They no longer own it. So in the pretty much the heretics control everything at this point. They don't even own their own house. And in the meantime, Stefan assures Damon that he isn't taking his side after he started the truce, and he wants to tell him that. So because Damon, of course, doesn't think he should have started this truce, but Stefan is saying, look, I started this truce, and I'm not going to agree that it was a bad thing, because I'm the one that started it. And I like seeing, Stefan say, look, this wasn't a bad thing. I think this was a good thing that I did, and I like seeing him do that. So Mary Louise is torturing Caroline with vervain injections, and Mary Louise asks Bonnie for her opinion on Nora's dress, and basically when she laughs at the dress, she feels the wrath of Mary Louise even after she tries to help, and the way she was torturing her about Bonnie's dress, though, was pretty funny. But you can also see that Mary Louise does not back down in terms of killing. She really is hellbent on revenge. Like a lot of the characters in this episode, she definitely is one of them that's hellbent on revenge. So Enzo's approached by Lily, and he tells her about the minor escape. And Enzo will be in charge of keeping an eye on Caroline while the family attends Malcolm's funeral. Because obviously there's going to be a funeral for Malcolm. And Valerie tells Enzo he should stop caring about Caroline because her torture is driving him crazy. And that's true. I mean, Enzo, he's a good guy. He's not a bad guy by any means. That's why he cares so much, because he cares about Caroline. He cares about these people, but he's always been a family to Lily, so that's why he's allying with her and not with Caroline, Stefan, and Damon. So Bonnie and Damon discuss the Phoenix Stone, and she tells him that she made Alaric drop it in acid to destroy it. And Damon tells Bonnie that Caroline was kidnapped. She immediately feels bad because, she's feeling this is her fault, which is understandable. I mean, Bonnie and Damon were on a getaway. They couldn't really stop it. But at the same time, this isn't Bonnie's fault because she didn't know about this. So however, Damon, and plus she's not the one that signed this deal. It was Stefan that did it. So Damon tells her he needs to go on a different mission involving the deed of her house, and I was wondering, what exactly he's going to try to do, because obviously he's going to try to get that house to be theirs again, because he wants just something of his own, because they have nothing at this point. So Bonnie sneaks up Matt, who's clearly stressed out about what happened so far, and the deed to the mansion is actually in Matt's name, and Bonnie wants to use magic to stop his heart so he can carry out a plan that will turn the mansion back over to the Salvatore brothers, and Bonnie's gonna kill Matt, and I'm like, there's no way they're killing off Matt, because Matt's the only person right now that's not immortal. He's human. If Matt dies, he's dead, and basically says, she's going to kill Matt momentarily, and he decides that he will help the team for the sake of Caroline, because obviously he wants to help Caroline, and I like seeing that. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is just like Elena, but it's different because Caroline is a lot more powerful than Elena. There's just more going on with Caroline. And yeah, they are kind of doing that same thing, but that was inevitable. I can understand why they're doing that, and I'm not going to be upset with them because I knew they were going to do something like that. So Valerie's actually helping Caroline out of her distaste for Nora and Mary Louise. But, I don't really trust Valerie because, she's just as ferocious and dark as Mary Louise and Nora. But when Mary Louise walks in, Valerie, she exits with a snarky comment, but managed to put a spell on Caroline that prevents Mary Louise from touching her, which I thought was definitely very interesting. And Nora doesn't even have an issue with Caroline either. So these people are definitely hiding something. There definitely is something more they want to do, but I thought that was definitely very interesting. Because Bonnie then starts to spell on Matt, while Damon badgers Stefan about his relationship with Caroline, and Damon just doesn't feel it's good to be in this relationship with Caroline. I can understand that. I mean, there's so much they're faced with. Stefan and Caroline, I think, have made a very abrupt decision, and it's not going to end well for them, especially at the end of this episode, you can definitely tell that's probably not going to work out well. So the seal is broken, and the guys make their way into the house, and Alaric has second thoughts on the Phoenix Stone, and doesn't drop in the acid after seeing a photo of him and Joe, and, because he's thinking, maybe this will be able to get Joe back. Obviously, he wants to get Joe back, and if only there was, like, a Lazarus pit in the Vampire Diaries. I mean, I know there isn't, but there is a Bonnie, but Bonnie can't really do that anymore. Bonnie becomes unstable during the spell to kill Matt, and she sees images from the stone, passes out, and Damon knocks on the door and tries to convince Enzo to, and, she passes out. So this stone is extremely powerful, and what it's exactly doing, I'm not really sure yet. I definitely don't know what exactly is going on with this stone, but the stone is definitely something that is very powerful, that is definitely much more powerful than I think anyone on this show. I mean, you can just tell that it's already, being a lot of their downfalls, especially with Bonnie, Alaric. I mean, it just seems like a very powerful thing. We don't know too much about it, but we already know that it's very evil and that it's not something to, tamper with, and I like seeing that, definitely. I like that we're not getting too much information as well. I like going slowly with this, definitely. So Damon knocks on the door, tries to convince Enzo to give Caroline back, and Enzo says that he and Lily have a stronger bond, but is surprised when Damon walks in. He doesn't take no for an answer, and Enzo then drops the bomb that Malcolm is being buried in the family tomb next to Elena, and that really gets to Damon, obviously, because of course he misses Elena, and Enzo knew that that would get Damon to listen, because obviously Elena, they care just as much about Malcolm as they do about Elena, and I like that he gave Damon that reality check, and I definitely like seeing that. So, Lily instructs her heretics to pull out Elena's coffin, dump the body in the falls. She literally wants them to pull out Elena's coffin, and she says she can spend the rest of her life underwater, and you know that Damon is going to find a way to stop this. You just know. He's not going to let them put his girlfriend underwater. He's not going to let them do that. So Bonnie wakes up. She immediately rushes to Matt to undo the spell that stopped her heart, and Matt wakes up and notices that it took way too long for him to be revived, and he doesn't know why, and Stefan finds Caroline, tries to carry up, but Valerie's spell is stopping him from making direct contact with her. And we realize that Valerie put vervain in Caroline's skin, which that I think is definitely very interesting that we found that out. I really like that, because you knew that she had some darker agenda, but that was definitely very interesting. So he's livid. Lily tells him, and basically Damon walks up to Elena's burial site. You knew that he obviously is not going to listen to her. He's going to tell her, look, you're not going to do this to someone like that, and he sees that the coffin has been taken, and he's livid, and Lily tells him that Elena has been cloaked, and Lily just brings up a story about Damon breaking her mother's vase, and she got him to admit everything after she took his toys away, and basically that's what she's doing here, and I really like this scene. You start to see Lily's darker agenda here. She's gonna make Damon reveal every ounce of his evil plan by just taking away all the things that he loves, and that's basically what she wants to do. She's gonna take away all, she's taken away Caroline from Stefan, she's taken away Elena from Damon, and they've taken away Malcolm. So it is understandable what she's doing, but I like how we're slowly starting to reveal this. And Damon says Elena's not a toy, and Lily says Malcolm was not a vase, and that very much is true. So I really like that scene, definitely. You start to really see what Lily's actual plan is here. So you could tell she had a much different agenda than just, getting these two sides to stay neutral. You knew that there was more than that. So each of the heretics tell the stories of how Malcolm helped them all, and Damon asks her to tell him what she wants in return for Elena, because obviously she wants something. He knows that she wants something, and he doesn't know what it is yet. So Stefan has to get Caroline a jacket to help her out, cracks a few jokes about skin-to-skin contact, and I like how even though he is, in this situation with Caroline, he's still trying to help her out, and something happens as Stefan is pulled from the mansion. Caroline's almost pulled until Enzo tells the maid to invite her in, and Bonnie has to apologize to Matt and then admit to help Damon kill Malcolm, and Bonnie says she refuses to stand by and let them do what they want, and Matt says he prays that he doesn't see a soul in the town because he hates thinking of innocent people dying, and that's why he doesn't want to, to obviously kill these people because, he just looks at them as innocent people, which is true. That's why they're trying to keep humans out, because they're gonna die most likely. Like I said, they're gonna crave the blood, and Bonnie says they should stop letting them do as they please and fight back, and that's true. They need to fight back. They can't let them continue doing what they're doing. So a pissed off Stefan greets his brother and demands answers, and Damon tells Stefan that Lily wants him to leave the town for good, and that she has Elena, and both Salvatore brothers have lost their loves to Lily, and now Damon's forced to leave town in order to get Elena back. So it's really getting serious here. And Stefan is completely pissed off after hearing what Lily did, because, he did not think when he agreed to, the deal that he did, that Lily would do something like this. And, you knew that Lily was going to screw them over somehow, but this is just not what Stefan thought was going to happen at all, and it's completely just the complete opposite of what Stefan thought was happening here. And, I've said before, Stefan is too trusting. He definitely is too trusting. And you can see that here, that he's way too trusting, and I can understand why. Obviously, it's his mother. He doesn't think of his mother as bad. He's just not going to think of her that way. This is his mother we're talking about, who he hasn't seen in years, and plus he knew he really couldn't take no for an answer and thought it sounded better overall, but I think he definitely should have thought things through. But again, like I said, he can be way too trusting of people. So Damon says that she will slowly take everything they care about, and she wants them to get mad at each other and gets them to fight. So basically the plan is, now we know what her darker agenda is, that she basically is trying to turn the Salvatore brothers against each other, which makes sense. It's something that's really never happened before. I mean, we've had things like that kind of, but Stefan and Damon have never been at each other's throats, ever. So basically they're going to plan that the two of them acting like they are mad with each other, and I think that's very smart of them to do, because obviously that's what Lily wants. So they're going to make it seem like they are under Lily's plan, that it is working, when in reality they're not. And I think that definitely is very smart of them, because, Lily's gonna definitely think she's getting what she wants, and in return she's not going to. But I just don't know if they're gonna be able to fight someone like Lily. She just seems very powerful, and the way she can get into their head, I don't really know what she plans on doing here. So Alaric tests the Phoenix Stone on a dead body at the morgue, and you knew that he was going to connect this to Joe. He realizes that it works, but only if it keeps in contact with the body. So he basically is thinking of this stone as a way to possibly bring Joe back to life, and it only works if it's in direct contact with the body. So definitely you can tell that he's now found a way to get Joe back from the dead. But I'm still kind of thinking this is all bullshit. I think he just wants to think it's going to work, but I don't really know. So Enzo's having an emotional moment. He plays the guitar by the fire. Lily walks in on him, and he asks her how the burial was. She tells him it was as lovely as it could be, and Enzo asks Lily if she considers him part of her family, and she agrees. And, as much as Lily is, very dementive and very menacing, she's also very, very sweet when she is, and that's what I love about her as a villain. She has so many layers to her, and when she says she cares for him as one of her own, he says he doesn't want to be one of her children, but something more. And he takes the guest room in the East Wing, and Lily seems pleasantly surprised with his words. He wants a lot more than just to be one of her children, and I really like seeing that. So I kind of feel like Enzo may be even developing feelings for Lily. Even though he knows what she's doing, I kind of feel like that's what's going on there. So I've always kind of seen that with Enzo and Lily, definitely. So Nora hands Caroline a book and tells her that Valerie really did harm her with the spell, and the book is Stefan's diary that Valerie has always had, and realizes that Stefan had a thing for Valerie back in the day. So that's how Valerie used Caroline, used Caroline against Stefan, which I thought was definitely very interesting. So apparently, and that I definitely like finding out that he had this thing for Valerie. So then this was really interesting. The end of this episode, I'm definitely interested in seeing where this is going to go because I really don't know where this is going to go. We see back in the future, Caroline's in the future. We realize she was not married to Stefan, actually. In fact, she wants nothing to do with him. She says, look, I never want to hear the name Stefan Salvatore again. And when her assistant tells her that he called her, she immediately gets angry. Then out of nowhere, they're both staked by probably the same person that's going after Stefan and Damon, and that's basically how the episode ends. So who her fiance is? Damon, maybe? I don't know. I'm even thinking maybe she's forced to be with one of the heretics because, that's the only way she's going to survive. But that was definitely a very interesting way to end the episode. I absolutely love that. And overall, guys, I really enjoyed this episode, definitely. I think this has been a really great season so far. But there is a lot to talk about, like I said. First of all, is this plan going to work? Obviously, Stefan and Damon, Lily's plan is to get them to turn against each other. Are they going to be able to pull this off? Because I think it could work. I think this can work what they're doing, but Lily is so powerful and so observant that I don't know if she's going to be able to tell if this is fake or stage. I feel like Lily's going to be able to tell, and we'll have to see if this is going to work, because I think that definitely is very interesting. Now that we know that Valerie, Stefan had feelings for Valerie, do you think that Valerie's going to try to seduce Stefan? I could definitely see it happening. Do I think they're setting up a love triangle here? No. I think Valerie is simply going to try to put Stefan under a spell that makes it seem like he's in love with her, and for all we know, maybe he could still have those feelings for her, and that could definitely be very interesting to see what's going on between Valerie and Stefan, and I like how very slowly we're starting to get information about what's going on there. Enzo and Lily, do you think that Enzo really does consider Lily more than just family? Do you think he really does want to be with her? I think it's really interesting overall. They have a very interesting bond because, of course, he doesn't necessarily agree with what she's doing, but he's always been a part of her family that he can't really say no to what she's doing either, just because he knows how much it matters to her that he's there, and how much it matters to her that he's part of this family, and he wants to stay part of the family. And that's just something that Enzo wants. He has that agenda, and I really like seeing that. Now as far as Alaric goes, is this really going to work with Joe? I really don't know if this stone's going to work. To me, I think this stone is basically going to end up manipulating him. He's going to think that it's going to bring back Joe, but it's going to do something way worse. What it is, I don't know yet. I don't know exactly what's going to happen here, but I don't see things going well with this stone at all. I really don't. We'll have to see what happens with that. And also, this newscast is going to be very interesting. Who does Caroline end up being engaged to? We'll have to see. Because I like we're getting these little flash forwards here and there, because it's an integral part of the show now. Like last week we had Stefan and Damon, now we're getting Caroline. I'm thinking we're gonna get one of these every episode until we find out really what's going on there, and I definitely really do like seeing that. However, I will tell you guys, wherever those flash forwards leads us, that needs to be the last season. If that is this season, they need to end the show there, because those flash forwards are, I think, the perfect time to end the show. And I've said before, I think this should be the final season, mainly because of how high the stakes are here. I mean, definitely it's going to be very interesting. Also, is Matt going to be able to successfully keep humans out of Mystic Falls? We know, obviously, he wants to, but it just, I don't know if the heretics are going to let it happen. I mean, the heretics are so powerful, they can really make anything happen. And we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting. But overall, guys, love this episode. Really loving the direction this season is going. I'm really back to really loving the Vampire Diaries again. I think it's a really great show again. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Also, why did Bonnie collapse? Obviously, we need to know why Bonnie collapsed, what happened with that. And what's going to happen with Bonnie and everything. And, of course, we know that she helped Damon kill Malcolm, and I like that we found that out, and definitely we're going to have to see what happens with Bonnie. Obviously, she wants to fight back the heretics, so she's not going to back down, definitely. We'll have to see what happens with that. But that is my review. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which I can't wait for, because it will be for tonight's episode of The Originals, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.